The old man in the cave. The old man in the cave.
What do we have here? We have an invisible old man in a cave.
Old man in the cave. The old man in the cave. There is no old man in the cave.
Man, that's just me!
Howdy folks, and welcome back to one of my now regular Twilight Zone reviews. So a big thank you to all of those who have enjoyed these and commented on them. It means a lot, really. So let's waste no time and dive right into Season 5 of the Twilight Zone. Through this classic door into the imagination. And once you can get by this big eyeball wearing a hat, then smash through this random window of the imagination. Watch an equation fly by, followed by a clock, and finally watch one of them artist mannequins fly by. And what do you know? I have an action figure of that too. Yeah, who the hell has one of those? So, pooh, take that! I thought we'd never get by that thing. So let's take a look at Season 5's Episode 7, The Old Man in a Cave. Another one of my personal favorites, largely due to the performance of the late, great James Coburn.
Man, that's just me!
That's James Coburn, folks. As seen in this episode, Old Man in the Cave. Here, he plays Major French, the episode's antagonist.
You understand? You're free!
Well, sorta. It's all in how you look at it. The message of this episode can be taken in a few different ways. It's weird. Now, the last episode I reviewed was Charles Bronson and Elizabeth Montgomery in 2, which took place in the aftermath of the atomic bomb. So, the apocalypse, which is exactly where this episode takes place. Yeah, the apocalypse. It's like we never left. There is something oddly comforting about these large cities after the fallout. Now just wrecked skeletons of their former glory. The good old days, before the bomb. And right off the bat, we get to see just how bad it's got. As this depressed looking fella has resorted to having his car pulled by a horse. Just like it was the old West, crossed with modern times. And then blown the fuck up. That's where we meet these people. A small group of survivors trying to make it in the wastelands of their once thriving, small town here. And just by looking at this sad collection of people, you start to think that the Great Depression might not have been so bad after all. I mean, what the hell was so great about it anyway? So, all of these survivors are standing around waiting for some guy named Goldsmith to return.
Goldsmith's still up there.
And tell them if it's safe to eat all this canned food that they found, which was all canned before the bomb. So who the hell knows? Nothing's been growing right since the fallout, so the earth is fucked. And this is how the veggies have been growing, so yeah.
Did these grow, or did somebody leave them to us in a will? I don't think we ought to eat those, Evie. Maybe we just better bury them with honors. You remember those tomatoes that came up?
Monstrous.
Looked like rotten watermelons.
A man can't live on mutated tomatoes alone. Sorry, killer tomatoes, you're not wanted here. That's when we find out that the guy that they're waiting for, this Goldsmith fella, gets all of his wise information from an old man in a cave.
That's what Goldsmith went to the cave for. Ask the old man what land we should try this time.
You heard it, folks. An old man in a cave.
The old man indeed.
So boom, in Twilight Zone fashion, we've already lived up to the episode's title.
See what the old man has to say.
Sounds crazy, right? An old man in a cave. And the only one who ever gets to see this old man in the cave is Goldsmith, of course. Which raises immediate suspicion around this Mr. Goldsmith's mental credibility and all. However, the remaining townsfolk don't want to say anything. Since all the information that Goldsmith gets from this so-called old man in a cave is usually always right. So la-ti-da. Bravo, old man in a cave that we never see. Thanks, I guess. It was the old man in the cave that warned them about trying to grow food here. And clearly he was right. So they just go along with it apparently. For survival. We'll play along with the old man in the cave bullshit. He's keeping us alive. We won't question it too much. Goldsmith. Who the hell is Goldsmith anyway? So cut to the cave so we can get a good look at this guy Goldsmith. A real good look. Look at that face. That's a face of a man named Goldsmith. But it's actually character actor John Anderson, best known to me as the man who would raise MacGyver after his parents were tragically killed on the original and superior MacGyver. He also appeared in other Twilight Zone episodes too, such as the Odyssey of Flight 33, he was the pilot, and one of the many Jack Klugman episodes, Passage for a Trumpet, or Passage of a Trumpet. Only here he's playing Goldsmith. Anyway, he's the keeper of the old man in the cave, who, as we can see, has gifted him with another note of wisdom, more than likely telling him that if those canned goods back in town are contaminated or not. And his expression says, nope. But John Anderson always looks like that. So, back in town, Goldsmith returns and reports all the good news from the old man in the cave. It's gonna be acid rain again tonight, folks.
This means that there will likely be a very high radioactive count in the precipitation.
So turn over all your freshwater buckets, roll up your windows, and stay inside. And also, all that canned food over there, yeah, it's contaminated as shit. Sorry, folks. No dinner tonight, I guess. This has been Goldsmith with the Old Man in the Cave news. Good night, everybody. So to hell with this shit, let's swing the camera over here and, yup, it's Rod Serling again. Of course, still hanging out in the apocalypse, narrating away, and of course, smoking a butt. Rod Serling without a cigarette to me is like Superman without his cape. It's unnecessary and will never do him any good, but he just wouldn't look the same without it. So smoke him if you got him, Rod. It's the apocalypse anyway, and you're dead. There's not much left to lose anyway, except getting to the bottom of this old man in a cave shit, cause razzle friggin' dazzle, you're in the Twilight Zone now, bitch! Back to the remains of Shitville. That, as Rod explained between puffs, is 10 years after some nuclear war that happened, and wiped out most of humanity, except for little places like this. And unlike the episode 2, we know where we are here, somewhere in the northern United States, all the way into the year 1974. Yeah, this came out in 1964. Durhay, so to them it was the future. Get it? I do, and I'm stupid, so you must know what I'm talking about. Then this jeep of military men show up, all sporting the same nifty, if not stupid looking shades, and enter James Coburn to steal the entire show away. With his excellent portrayal of this wild party animal, Major French.
Major French is my name.
Another actor I just love, James Coburn. He really puts on a good show here. It's actually my favorite part of the episode. He is an excellent actor, and I love his teeth. They're so perfect. I always get real jealous of people with perfect teeth, because mine are so freaking horrible. Believe me, and no one in the world can say the title of this episode better than him. And he says it a few times too.
Old man in the cave.
So be prepared.
Old man in the cave.
Anyway, Major James Coburn and his men are here to bring back order to these little communities and have rolled into town to exercise and announce their authority. And you better respect it because James Coburn is in charge now. You got that, MacGyver's grandfather? Goldsmith. Shit, you'll always be MacGyver's grandfather to me. Now Goldsmith is the leader of all these people. And with the help of his old man in the cave shit, kept them all alive for the past 10 years. So naturally, he doesn't like James Coburn just strolling into town and pushing him around like this. But James Coburn insists he's here to help and that he's not like all those others.
Well, this is a new breed, Mr. Goldsmith.
Who've rolled in here trying to take over. This is the apocalypse. All sorts of weirdos come out of the woodwork in times like this. You got toe cutters, humonguses, and super cleavage Tina Turners. to fight off. So Coburn just looks like another arrogant asshole to old Goldsmith here. And to be fair, he sorta is. Cause this is how he gets people to listen. By punching them in the face and stepping on them. And threatening to murder them.
I'm gonna hang you from that balcony right over there.
Fine, James Coburn. Or should I call you Negan?
Man, that's just me.
You and your beautiful row of teeth are in charge. I guess. That's when James Coburn discovers all that canned food that they were hoping was good but turned out to be contaminated.
Poison. It's contaminated food.
According to the old fart in the cave, the more you say it, the crazier it sounds. Old man in a cave? Please, MacGyver's grandfather. Do you think we're stupid? This is when Coburn gets to hear all about the wise old man in the cave, who said all this food was contaminated due to the fallout.
The old man in the cave.
The old man in the cave.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
And he immediately thinks it's a bunch of horseshit fabricated by Goldsmith. And again, to be fair, even though he's a dick, he's right too to think it's nuts. And question the hell out of it, which he gladly does in the douchiest way he can, of course, by trying to make Goldsmith look like some sort of heartless dumbass. Because in his many travels through the apocalypse, Major James Coburn has seen his fair share of weirdies, as he likes to call them.
See, off Lake Erie, we've got a pack of weirdies up there that bay at the moon once a week.
All of them with old man in the cave stories of their own.
They had built themselves a statue made out of fissionable lead. This is their deity. What do we have here? We have an invisible old man in a cave.
And at best, if there somehow really was an old man somehow surviving alone in that cave, he probably was just a nut.
Come on, Mr. Goldsmith. Now, when you take it out and run it around the block a couple of times, don't you think it sounds kind of nutty? 500 to 1 that your old man is a soft-in-the-head hermit who doesn't even know what year it is.
And hey, he could be right.
I think if you're going to kick off, you're going to kick off either from malnutrition or from being conned to death.
At least it'll be a painless death.
So what's he saying? Starving to death is painless? I have a feeling that's not true. So to prove that he's right, James Coburn drags everybody out to this cave. That's sealed with a thick metal door. Yeah, that only Goldsmith knows how to open, of course. Oh shit, here we go. Because naturally, he won't open it. Being a big baby and all. As James Coburn demands answers about this old man that's supposedly in this cave. I mean, how do you communicate with him then? If he's locked in there.
He sends out notes.
Little notes. Come on, Goldsmith. Just open the damn cave. You do sound crazy, you know that? But Goldsmith is not budging. He is very protective of this old man in the cave. And really intent on being the only one that gets to see him.
Idiot leading the idiots.
So now, an enraged James Coburn decides to take a grenade and just blow up the friggin' door. An attempt that fails miserably. This door was probably built to resist an atomic bomb. So your dinky little grenade isn't gonna do much. But I do understand his frustration here. He even yells through the door to the supposed old man if he's even there. Threatens him, of course.
Old man, this is just the beginning. You hear?
Temper, Coburn. This is no way to win over the old man in the cave's heart. You'll get your shot at him, I promise you that. This little outburst causes some of the townsfolk to start laughing at James Coburn. And his failed attempt to crash the cave so he could go slap an old man around. This just enrages him more, of course.
Man, that's just me.
Easy, guys. This is a very unstable James Coburn here, of the apocalypse. He's not like the Charles Bronson of the apocalypse, even though they were both members of the Magnificent Seven. And both of them were also two of the three people to actually escape in The Great Escape.
Shower. I need a wash. I'm watching him. I'm a lifeguard.
And both starred in Hard Times together. Fun facts unrelated to the episode. So back in town, James Coburn has convinced everyone to raid that canned food supply that the old man in the cave said was contaminated. And just eat it, cause it's fine. And the old man in the cave is a bunch of made up bullshit. Goldsmith begs them not to, of course, and goes on and on about listening to the old man in a cave no one has ever seen. Because this food's so contaminated that there's enough poison here to kill everyone 10 times over. So James Coburn, to everyone's shock except me, pops open a can and just starts eating this thing. A slice of wet banana or something, to prove to everyone that this food is fine. And the old man in the cave can go take a flying leap when James Coburn starts to choke. The old man in the cave was right. The food is poison and fast acting. Because James Coburn is dead apparently. And they're all now reconvinced that the food is contaminated. Well shit. But wait, cut back to James Coburn, who was faking it the whole time. He's fine. He just has a dark sense of humor. You've been punked by James Coburn. He has a YouTube channel where he pretends to die in front of large crowds of people. He has 10 million subscribers. He made a fortune. Fuck making movies. But since James Coburn is actually fine, he's now convinced everyone that yeah, this food's fine. Except Goldsmith, of course.
You've got enough food in that pile over there to feed us all for a good long time.
That old man in a cave is a bunch of made up shit, so dig in everybody. It's time for a smorgasbord. Hope I said that shit right. And they do too. They all raid the food pile. Fuck it. It's food and it tastes fine. So who cares? Probably gonna die horribly some other way anyway. Waiting around for notes for some invisible old man in a cave. Fuck that guy. Shit. Then bang! This guy fires his gun off like a nutcase. Just to let everyone know that this building is filled with contaminated booze. So let's party like it's 1979. We're all getting trashed. So flash forward, it's nighttime, and Major James Coburn chills out in his Jeep, drunk as hell, with his new buddy, this guy.
What's your name?
Jason?
Jason. I guess he doesn't look like a Jason, more like a Bob. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, they're all wasted and having a real swell time now. The best time any of these folks have seen in the last decade. So a defeated Goldsmith strolls up and tries to convince James Coburn that he's murdered everyone. Thanks, James Coburn. You have murdered everyone. Old man in the cave's gonna be pissed. He's got no one to fuck around with anymore. You've even murdered yourself, James Coburn, you idiot. Y'all should have listened to the old man in the cave. According to Goldsmith, of course. This guy just won't let go. That's when James Coburn makes fun of him for his dedication to the old man in the cave. And I like this title that he gives Goldsmith.
Keeper of the legend, protector of the fables.
Keeper of the legends, protector of the fables.
And the Lord High Chamberlain of the cave.
The Lord High Chamberlain of the cave. I love that. What a title. He is a funny James Coburn when he's had a few.
Hey, you've got 100 cases of that stuff over there. Now, you want to start breaking every bottle, man, you've got a big job.
Smash every bottle? Don't give him any ideas, Coburn. He'll do it. I believe he will. Dedication he has. Old man in the cave said smash every bottle. I'll do it.
Man, that's just me.
Only James Coburn has finally had enough of this old man in a cave talk. And Goldsmith's unwillingness to just let it go, man. There's no old man in a cave.
The old man in the cave warned us about this food dozens of times.
Which sends him into his best old man in a cave rant.
Old man in the cave.
The old man in the cave.
See, I just love the way he says old man in the cave.
Old man in the cave.
Old man in a cave. Old man in a cave.
The old man in the cave.
Old fucking man in a cave. What's this old man in a cave shit?
There is no old man in the cave.
There's no fucking such thing as an old fucking man in an old fucking cave. You crazy old bastard. He sounds so irritated by this shit. It drives him nuts every single time he hears it, and has finally snapped.
He's alive.
And demands that Goldsmith open that damn cave and show us this old man. Only he still won't budge. He would rather be killed first before telling you.
You'll have to kill me first.
If you were killed first, you couldn't tell us afterwards, you dumb shit. So Coburn is starting to see himself as a hero to these people, who have been slaves for the past 10 years to this old man in a cave shit. That's when everyone drags Goldsmith to the cave, where he begs them, just leave the old man in the cave alone, since all he's done for the past 10 years is help us survive and live.
All you have to know is that he's kept us alive.
But we're past all that now, Goldsmith. These people want some real answers, damn it. Sure, he kept them alive for all those 10 years, but they never really did live, or have any kind of a life.
But we haven't lived.
So they're all about to destroy Goldsmith now, like fucking beat him to death. So he finally caves in. Get it? Cave pun. That's the only cave pun I got. So he crawls down and pulls this hidden lever that opens the cave door, causing everyone to immediately rush into the cave so they could savagely beat up some old man who was living in there, I guess. Only to find there's no old man in here at all. Oh really? You were surprised? It's an old 60s computer instead, whose power source will always remain a mystery, because James Coburn convinces them all to destroy this machine that has been running their lives. So now James Coburn fancies himself a modern day Moses, I guess, who has freed his people from the bondage of this now destroyed 60s computer.
Alright, you're free now.
As a disappointed Goldsmith helplessly watches on, crying pretty much. He's about to bust out in tears. Oh, your old computer in a cave. Your own fault, buddy, for being so secretive. You should have just told them that it was a supercomputer, capable of outthinking all of us. It's just as crazy and or believable as that old man in a cave story. They wouldn't necessarily think that they were being ruled by a computer. So cut back to town the very next morning to see that they're all free, alright. Free from life itself. Because everyone is dead now, including James Coburn. Because that old 60s computer in a cave was actually right about the food being contaminated. So you're all idiots. Even the only survivor, Goldsmith, who strolls about the carnage, acting all high and mighty. Sorry, James Coburn. I do see the point you were trying to make, though. And you too, Goldsmith. You both just went about it the wrong way.
You forgot faithlessness, Major French.
Faithlessness. Perhaps more like lack of faith and trust in each other. Hey. James Coburn was too much of an asshole, so all of his points came off as douchey. Whereas Goldsmith's story about some old man in the cave sounds like a bunch of shit. So honesty was the key here. But in times like this, who the hell can you trust? Mad Max? Rocknatansky? Well, the whole town is yours now, Goldsmith. Go get old somewhere and become MacGyver's grandfather, I guess. Because this episode is over according to Rod Serling. Final sign out of what could be.
Not a prediction of what is to be, just a projection of what could be. This has been the Twilight Zone.
Which sends me into my final thoughts on this interesting and well-acted episode. The Old Man in a Cave. My biggest question, who was right here? Both sides make good points and bad ones. It's how they made their points. Forcibly or with lies. Goldsmith should have been more honest with his people. He should have just told them, even showed them, this computer in the cave. They might have still listened to its suggestions instead of just being a slave to it. They deserve to know what's keeping them alive. If I was one of those townspeople, I would want Goldsmith to come clean too. Seriously, I would. I'd be like, buddy, we don't believe the old man in the cave. Why don't you just tell us? We've been living together for 10 years. We swallowed the old man in the cave bullshit for too long. Just tell us what it is. Or show us the old man and fight him down here or something. God. Even though his intentions were good, you just couldn't trust him. Because he did it with lies and a bullshit story about an old man in a cave. Which, my best guess, he said that because he didn't feel they would listen to a computer over a person. But you have no way of knowing that. You're assuming. And Coburn, he was right by wanting to expose this lie. He was just too wild and violent and way too arrogant to just go along with. A guy like this will get your ass killed. He should have reasoned that, yes, this food could be contaminated, even though the source of this information sounds like a bunch of cockeyed bullshit. Just another cool and interesting take on the human race, and how we act in times of desperation. The things we will do to survive. It's fascinating. And none of this would have worked if it wasn't for the two excellent performances by James Coburn and John Anderson. May you both rest in peace. James Coburn deserves an award for this performance alone, if not just for the way his voice sounds. I'll say it again, no one will ever top the way he says the title of this episode, Old Man in a Cave.
Old man in the cave.
Each time he says it makes it sound more and more like a ridiculous idea, just like he points out.
Come on, Mr. Goldsmith. Now, when you take it out and run it around the block a couple of times, don't you think it sounds kind of nutty?
Just like he sounds more and more irritated by it every time he says it.
Old man in the cave. Old man in the cave.
And of course, thanks Rod Serling for writing another good one, which was based on a short story called The Old Man by Henry Slessor. Well, that will do it for my look at this Season 5 episode of The Twilight Zone. The Old Man in a Cave. Or as James Coburn says it, I won't be able to say it as good as he does. Old man in a cave. Old man in a freaking cave.
Old man in the cave.
Interesting, if not really depressing at the end, but not all endings are happy ones, I guess. Thanks for watching, and thanks again to my subscribers, and for all those comments again. I really do enjoy it. Adios for now, and I'll see you at the theater.
Old man in the cave.
Man, that's just me.